Welcome to the great town of Fernley, Nevada. I think we've been here before. Just gonna do a little live while we're doing the drive thing, seeing how this holds up. Let me give you the view of whatnot. So we'll see who checks in here before I start ranting. Be on the highway here shortly. Yeah, the whole startup now on lives is a whole different. So I feel Tony's pain on that. Here we go. Eastbound and down. Mostly just eastbound. Maybe a little bit north. Not so much down. But whichever works. We'll see if somebody checks in here to give me a 5x5 on the audio meter. Hopefully. Do some distance here on a Thursday drive time. Oh, and there is somebody. 5x5, what is up? Down on the farm. Whatever happened to Irish, I don't know, but okay. All right, good to see you. Hopefully everybody on the east is warming up. Oh, sounds like it's been a little chilly out that way for pretty much everybody. I think Tony said it was like 15 degrees. Like a high of like 19 one day. I think it warms up today. Something like that. A foot of snow in Louisiana. Madness. Just sure madness going on. When you got something like that going down. So here we are, eastbound. We're not going to Utah, but sorry, Alicia. We're headed that direction, but we're going to be stopping short. The big town of Winnemucca. I think we lose signal between here and there, but we shall see. They continuously seem to be upgrading a lot of these remote interstate cell towers and stuff, so sometimes it might hold up. But anyway, getting to the description, to start off with, we'll see where we go from here. From there, are you prepared or preparing to endure what is necessary? And I got this from 2 points, and I knew when it was reinforced last night, I knew I had to talk about it. So yesterday I posted on the YouTube. On the Twitter. I posted, once the tears of your enemy no longer sustain you, are you prepared to endure what is necessary to turn this place around? Basically meaning, hey, there's going to be a lot of pain coming. Just enjoying your enemy's suffering is not going to be enough to really do what's necessary, right? Or to get through what's going on. And then last night, a little Bible study action. Read Acts 5 to summarize, because I'm driving and I don't want to quote. Acts 5, Peter in the Sanhedrin continually berates them and threatens them to stop preaching and spreading the gospel or else. And they say, no, we're still going to do it. No, we're still going to do it. And they get flogged and beaten, basically. And they come out of the Sanhedrin joyful. So that's the kind of endurance and spirit you're going to need if we're going to get through what is needed. Because it's going to take a lot of pain to get this thing around. And we've talked about this before, but just the way that came together yesterday with those two events kind of reinforced this thought in my head of most people are just kind of giddy over the situation right now and all this winning that's going on, all these executive orders that may or may not have much effect on their life, or even take effect or even go into effect, like which one got already, a judicial hold got put on one of them already, but that's neither here nor there. If some of these things actually take effect, and one in particular I want to point out that I kind of highlighted on the Twitter this morning, if the deportation scheme takes the effect that everybody kind of wants it to go in, the amount of pain that is going to cause everybody economically, I don't think most people are ready for it. most people are not ready for the economic calamity that comes with displacing a whole section of workforce and having to replace that. Because you have to do a couple things if you're going to remove the workforce. You're going to have to lower the minimum wage or eliminate the minimum wage, which nobody wants. And you're going to have to change child labor laws, which nobody in Congress is going to do. So, again, government action caused the problem. Government inaction exacerbated the problem. And now the government's trying to provide a solution, but it's always half measures and half steps. They never get the full, the full thing in there to actually make things change that are needed. And mostly because people are going to complain and it's painful. Most people are far too compliant and far too soft to endure what would be happening if, the minimum wage was eliminated. Children were, your teenagers and stuff were more apt to work because of the, it's available and whatnot. And you had some competition in the workforce, right? But if you remove all the people that need to be deported, which probably needs to happen, I'm not going to disagree with that. You have to replace it with somebody. So then the problem really becomes automation. And that's where I think the real secret, sneaky Elon Musk and these other people that have their fingers in the administration are going to come into play with all their, technology and machines and everything. They're going to solve the problem. So once again, you have the problem of no jobs. So that doesn't help us in their solution. I think people really need to be on the lookout for this. And in particular, also, most of these illegals are paid under the table cash, right? Some of them have fake documents or whatever, but there's a lot of cash business still out there. If you wanted to eliminate cash businesses and implement a cryptocurrency, how would you do it? You get rid of the people that are taking cash. Force businesses to work into people that are willing to take the crypto, right? Or willing to take the central bank digital currency. That's just another route to that path. That's just another piece of the puzzle, I guess, because it's not all of a sudden solution. The central bank doesn't one day give a cryptocurrency and it works. There's steps of the implementation. Like we've talked about, direct deposit, all the electronic transfers, all those have been steps in this process because it all keeps the central bank in control. And now you get rid of cash workers. Hey, business has got to hire somebody. Well, I take direct deposit. Please deposit my check. It's just another step, another tick on the wall, I guess. In particular, I was thinking about a lot of the local ranches out here. Obviously, a lot of the farms in Southern California. But hey, if you can't get people in there to work, automation is the next step. I don't know how ranchers are going to automate. Ranchers aren't going to be able to do that, but yeah, it is what it is, I guess. But just don't be quite so excited about winning if you're not excited about the pain that's going to come to really turn things around. Because otherwise, you're moving the ball away from winning and towards centralized control, techno-state, police-state activities. So that's my concern. I kind of wanted to throw that out there. If anybody else has thought about having to endure some of the policy changes and what's really necessary, or they're going to implement policy changes, people are going to complain, and the government gives another solution, problem reaction solution, right? That's the continuous cycle of the government as a whole, in our whole lives, and before that. To see it's been like this our whole life, So we got people checking in here. Let me see what we got. We got Irish is in the house. West Texas Stacker, what is going on? Super 5. We got all kinds of Marines in the house. We're just going to have Marines, Bikes, and Bullets shows up. What is up? Yep, I guess everybody heard it's Marine Reunion. We're going to meet on the YouTube. The call must have went out and I missed it. That wasn't in the graphic or nothing. Like, what are you guys doing? And Adventure's Guide to the Galaxy shows up. 4 for 4. Marines all around. What is up? Listening along. Yeah, I'm driving for work. But yeah, I'm driving as well. And Vegas Stackers in the house. What is up? Not really on the subject of stacking right now, but welcome aboard. Crypto is another way for the government to tackle or to track what you can buy. Right. And digital currency is the way of control. It controls all your life, and that's the beast system. We've been warned. I don't know that we can necessarily stop it. If it is the beast system, I don't know that we can stop it. This is what's going to happen. Understand what time you're in time and space when it does happen. Prepare accordingly. Yeah, right. So I saw you talk about that, how you increased your stack a little bit. And I talked about this a while back because I've been kind of anti-crypto all along. I don't want to mess with it because it's too risky. It's a gamble. It's a Ponzi, all that stuff. But more power to you if you're willing to gamble and do the things and benefit, whether it's stacking or otherwise, from it. I'm like, hopefully you will get your money and get out before it all gets winnowed to a crypto central bank currency of some sort. So win as long as you can, right? Don't get greedy. As what's his name used to say, what was his name? Jim Cramer. What was his saying? Pigs get slaughtered was his last comment, though. Can't be greedy. But yeah, lots of activity. Looks like I dodged out there a little bit. I might be in the sketchy part already. Man, I'm out in the open territory. How could I lose signal? Hopefully it doesn't do that too much. Otherwise, I'll just have to shut it down. But yeah, hopefully the police state activities don't get out of control here. Obviously, the communists are trying to use your good nature against you by whining and wailing about the deportation and separation of families and everything. And it's like, you caused the problem and you expect us to care about what for a long time. Communists will use their own morals against you. Don't let them do that, because they don't have any morals. They're just trying to make you feel sorry for them and their agenda. Because when they get foreigners in here from other countries that have no basis in American individuality and ethics and all that good stuff that goes with citizenship and being an American, when they get people here that don't really follow that stuff and don't understand it, they get obedient voters because they give them stuff and they love that. So we're getting rid of their voters, basically. So it's hard when you're fighting both sides from the right, because most of the right and left are so far left they can't see the Constitution even close. But Mike's chiming in here. Mike says, sadly the normies will push for the CBDC, right? Out of convenience and stupidity. Yeah, it'll be so convenient, so safe. Nobody can steal your CBDC except for the bank, of course, or the government when they feel like it. Or they just turn it off so you can't use it. It's going to be a bad situation, right, Bikes? But the normies will cheer because it's on your phone. You just swipe your phone. Eventually, it'll come with your mRNA shot. It'll be injected into you, and you just swipe your hand. And everybody laughs. And again, refer to the book, refer to the reference. All that did not have the mark in their head or forehead or hand were not able to trade. It's right there in black and white for centuries, and people discount it way too easily. Welcome aboard, Alexis. Hope you're prepared for what we're talking about. It's a little spicy in here sometimes. Watch out for Tony to check in. But yeah, bikes, the lack of pushback on direct deposit alone, that was like the clear signal that them to move forward on all this stuff. They just had to put in the infrastructure and get the system in place. But hopefully, anybody wants to see some craziness, go check out Bikes and Bullets rolling his little ATV action. What is it called? Bikes, an algo? That 8-wheeled creature you drive around. Bikes out there going all over Arkansas in this little gator-looking thing, and decided to roll over on himself the other night. Be safe. At least get your OR in there, bikes. Don't be, it's good to be hard, but not stupid, right? The Argo. Okay, there you go. But yeah, the economic, we already know the economics is not in a good place right now. The situation with tariffs, if a lot of that continues, is going to put more clamps on the economy. Inflation will continue, right? And so the inflationary pressure is still pretty high. There's different things that can happen, but there's nothing really relieving that economic inflationary pressure. So again, prepare accordingly. Try to keep your risk level at something tolerable, at something you're okay with, because you don't want to catch yourself out on a limb unexpectedly. What's up, Mountain Man? Good to see you. Are you still in Arkansas, Mountain Man? I saw your one video coming back, but I didn't catch if you were still in Arkansas, if you'd moved far away. Good to see you though back on the YouTube. It's one of those things, it's like, unless somebody puts the word out, if you don't know if you've passed or you just quit YouTube or whatever, it's always, when we sit around and talk about people, it's like, well, what happened to this guy? But Mountain Man's still with us. All right, we enjoy that. Good to see you. Gas at $2.99. $2.99 super cheap. It was $2.99 here like a minute, like just a skosh right before New Year's. As soon as everything happened on the New Year's, that next week, the fires kicked off in LA. Prices are up to like $3.30 again or whatever. We were going to have $2.75 gas, but no. Actually, we get here to Winnemucca, they usually have cheaper gas in most places. It still might be below $3, maybe. Because the further east you get here, the more they truck in fuel from Utah, which is a little cheaper, because they don't have the California built-in excess tax on it. So we'll see what happens out there. But yeah, we had $2.99 for a minute. I was almost hopeful, then I crushed my hopes and dreams. Welcome, some guy. Welcome. Yeah, it's not too bad here. We're not on the East Coast. It's above 40 right now, what the temperature says. It might be a little breezy and feel like 20, but it still says it's above 40 out there, above freezing. Your mom says a dozen eggs is $8 and more. That sounds about right. Texas, yeah. Depending on actually smaller markets and stuff, Unless they get into a bigger town and they can get like to Costco or something. Yeah, the price of everything. We've been tracking. I'm still tracking the Vienna sausage inflation index, as we indexed at 49 cents back in 2018. We've tracked it up to 89. I haven't seen 99 cents yet. So I've been waiting for $1.09, really, is what I've really been waiting for. But, and also I noticed something. I was actually in Walmart the other day. I go to Walmart like once a month if I'm lucky. I wouldn't call it lucky, but if I have to. And I noticed Walmart is rounding things up to the whole dollar. See a lot of things priced like $1.99, $3.99, like you know how a lot of most places like that's the price. It was even dollars, so it's like they're rounding up now for everything. So I mean that's, you know, Walmart, as much as they sell, like that's how many millions of dollars a day just by rounding up. Be on the lookout in your Walmart and report back what you see. But that's what I noticed. You almost always see stuff with a 99 cent, right? And everything was even dollars, which I thought was unusual. At least the things I looked at. I mean, I didn't look at every single thing in the store, but it was a lot more than you expect. So I found that very interesting. The big mine, West Texas? Are you talking about the lithium mine? The lithium mine's up on the border with Oregon. We're on the 80 here. We're quite a ways south. But you go out to Winnemucca, you hang a left, it goes right up to there. So we're going in that direction, I guess you'd say. I know it's probably from the 80 up to that mine location, it's almost 100 miles. Maybe right around 100 miles once you get off the interstate. It's out there kind of in the middle of nowhere. I'm not sure how far they are in the development of that. They only got clearance like last year. So it's going to take time to get all that developed and all the stuff they need to put. Well, I shouldn't say time. Mines can work pretty fast. Like all of a sudden they're there. So I don't know. They got the clearance and everything. So they've had a year basically, I guess, to work on it. So we'll see how that goes. It's supposed to be a lot of lithium in the ground. Got to have those Tesla batteries, which, not for nothing, they're great, but the waste and all the hazards are another problem. Everybody saw that fire the other fire that kicked off in California. The California fires are crazy, right? The battery storage location that caught fire last week, up there in kind of central California. I don't know, I guess it's still burned. I don't know when it burned itself out. I haven't heard anything about that. I guess it's probably over. Nobody's continued to report on it, but it burned. I had like half a warehouse of stored lithium batteries. I can't imagine what the hazmat is on that. Mike's is getting Vienna sausages for 78 cents. Well, you're out there in nowhere, Arkansas, Mike's. Right? Isn't that why? I can imagine your prices being a little bit cheaper. But that's not a whole lot cheaper. 89 to 78. I mean, considering all things. Carson City compared to out there. Texas says the feds really put it to the tribes in the area for that. Well, I know the tribes are fighting it. I think it was mostly the tribe on the Oregon side, because I don't think the Nevada tribe, I think is McDermott, right? Yeah, McDermott. What's on both sides, that tribe in McDermott? I don't know. They were trying to fight it though, yeah. Hard to fight the man when money's involved. Especially that kind of money. If that, I mean, I can't imagine the value of lithium going down anytime in the next 100 years, right? So, the however billions of dollars is only going to go higher in value. Mountain Man went to a big box store, Harps, spent $30 and bought coffee and bread. Barely enough for 2 bags. Yeah, somebody was showing what they bought for like $30 or $20 on a video I saw, and it's like, yeah, like a couple pieces of chicken, a gallon of milk, and that was something else, and that was it. Like $20 were gone. Yeah, I remember the days of having a whole cart and you spent $20. But that's inflation. That's the invisible nature of fake money, right? When it's not real. When it's not real and it's not in your pocket and you just swipe it off a card, it's easier to spend and harder to understand how it's being inflated away by the second, And that's really rough for the younger generation. We were kind of the transitional generation, We kind of had a lot of cash early on, and we kind of got transitioned to digital currency, along the way. And the inflation kicked in really hard because after we went off the gold standard, it took some time to move through all that process. By the time we were making wages to worry about it, things were pretty good there for a little bit because the bank just kept pumping it out. And now we're really paying the prices. We'll see how it goes. Like we've talked about, the central banks that are real, how they're going to thread the needle between interest rates and inflation is it's going to be something to watch. It's just like a popcorn moment. Like sit back and figure. I don't know how they're going to do it. What event? I mean, digital currency, and I'm sure they're going to use it as a transition of digital currency. But how they do it without a market crash or bank failures, massive bank failures, like something's got to give at some point. Something has to fold to transition that without the natives getting so restless that they overthrow the system. That's the real key, right? It's like making sure the natives don't overthrow you because they think you're one of them. They think the banks are the good guys. Why would they mess with us? We're here to help you. Except they're the ones that causes all the distress all along. Devaluation, right? Yeah, not much you can give for $30. Indeed. Like if you get supplemental feed for your animals, like a bag of supplemental feed is over $20. If you're feeding your chickens and they got some good run area or pasture area, you supplement. Just the bag of feed alone is $20 or more. And of course, depending on how many chickens you run, but if you're trying to get if you're trying to get a couple dozen eggs a week. So you're running 14 chickens or so, especially this time of year. Supplemental feed adds up. There's some snow on the mountains. It's been so dry out here. Like all that, the weather pattern you hear about for LA, it's kind of bit us too. We haven't had a whole lot of storms since. We had one right after Christmas. It was a small storm, but nothing really since. And it's just been, they say something might be coming in this weekend, but we need some snow bad, something fierce. Hopefully the pattern changes and we can get that snow out of the Gulf and out here west where it needs to be. It's like, why am I worried about transporting snow from Florida to Nevada. That shouldn't be going on. We should have the snow out here. Bizarre times. Yeah, I'm almost convinced that renaming the Gulf of America, like automatically shifted the latitude 10 degrees north. You know, just by the presidential decree. Like the timing on that was hilarious. Like, you're now the Gulf of America, but you're gonna get snow from now on. That was funny. In my own mind, at least. A lot of people on the Twitter down there, I mean, people ice skating in New Orleans down the streets, people sledding down little tiny hills all over New Orleans and Louisiana, the Gulf Coast, and then the coast of North Carolina. I saw some people sledding down the hill where the Wright brothers were. Not totally unprecedented, but the amount was like exponentially higher in most areas than their record. It's like their record's like 4 inches of snow, 3 inches of snow most all time, and they were like 13 inches, 12 a foot, like totally blowing it out of the water. Like a record to be untouched for some time, which goes back to the Hurricane Helene reference, and kind of like what's going on in LA. Like, it's never been this bad until it actually is. Like, never failed to prepare for the worst case just because it's never gotten that bad. I think I'll beat that drum for a while on what you're preparing for, what you're thinking through in your preparedness. Like, well, you know, this is how bad it can get, you know, because past history says this. Oh, it could always get much worse, and plan accordingly based upon what you can figure out. Like, you know, you think you're at the high water mark for a 500-year flood, you're probably under it for the next time around, type of thing, right? Wildfire, earthquake, whatever. Like, it could get a lot worse than you have reference, because it could be worse. It's never been that bad before. Did I lose the chat? It stopped updating on me. Well, that's sad. It looks like the chat froze, so I'm sure people have been commenting because I'm still live. That's what it did that time down by the river. I think when it skips across. Oh, look. Oh, we got Chipper. All right, we're back in line on the chat. You guys weren't chatting. You were just listening. I guess everybody's busy. That's good. Like, I'll sit and listen to Steve's Monday chat, you know, not really commenting much just because I'm working. But I guess I caught everybody else working too. Although Bikes and Bullets, you're basically retired, right? Basically retired. And I'm sitting here going like, man, I'm never going to be able to retire. Maybe if I move to Arkansas, I might be able to afford to retire. But I don't see that happening. I'd probably move back to North Carolina first. It's best to move where you have the fam or other relations nearby, right? Always have that good network. Don't just move out in the middle of nowhere and not have any network whatsoever. You want to have somebody you can network with right off the bat, of like mind. That's one thing that always was mysterious about all the super billionaires buying up all the property, like Jackson Hole and Idaho and all these places. Like, you don't have any common people there. You're all by yourself. Like, are you sure you thought this through? Like we were talking about with their doomsday team. Like, if a billionaire has enough money to pay for his security and stuff, but doesn't build a tribe, you know, around it, and doesn't have any skills themselves, like when things go bad, why would they keep you around? They just take your stuff. Like, you see a lot of people's security turning on them when things really went bad, just because they know they're not worth anything in the post-apocalypse environment. They just happen to be a good tool to use to get the facility or the stuff built up and saved up. Chipper, you're just tired, not retired? Yeah. I'm tired again. Yeah. Well, yeah, right, West Texas, living away from people, but you still want to have people nearby. I mean, you got to have some reliance at some point. Being out there all by yourself at some point is going to come back on you. You can only be self-sustaining to a point. That's why society exists, you know. Our ancestors had to tribe up for a reason. Mountain Man is not busy. Be looking for 2-ton epoxy for some fire building kits to supplement your food fund. Okay. Gotta eat, right? Right, but in ride bikes, you know, living remote's, you know, one thing, but you want to have somebody to be able to call a mutual aid too, because things happen, you know. Things happen. It's like, you know, in the especially in the old West days, you know, when the fire kicked off, you had to rely on your neighbors 500 acres over, you know, to help with the situation. So there's still mutual aid in many different scenarios, even if you are spread apart. So plan accordingly. You know, if you're out there secluded in the woods and your neighbor next door isn't worth anything, you know, plan accordingly, right? Whether it's security or safety or any other possible scenario where you can't rely on them. It's not the kind of people you want to live next to, right? At least have somebody that can fend for themselves so you don't have to worry about them. And if, you know, I'll think of all your apocalypse scenarios and how good neighbors can help out. Are you in town now, Mountain Man? That's unfortunate. Oh, I saw your look like you're living in like a trailer or something. You at a park. You have really close neighbors. That's a whole different situation, because you know you got some nefarious types in that type of environment, but hopefully you can get enough good neighbors to keep them at bay. The Saint is checked in. What is going on? Maybe Saints and Sappers will walk in here in a minute. On the ground. Oh, I skipped over there for a second. I was watching that fire develop in LA last night, and they had RVs and trailers, right? And this one old timer, about just like you, Mountain Man, he was out there spraying down his RV and saying, "I'm not leaving." You know, it's like he was staunchly there, and just right out back was where the fire was creeping really close, and those firemen rolled out there and they just cut it back, and they had the inmate crew come in there and like run a line and stuff. It was timely, because that RV park was really close to just, you know, if one of those units gets hit, there's no stopping it, because it's going to spread so fast once it gets a hold in a place like that. And it was pretty impressive how quickly they got into there and got that fire deterred away from there, at least. I haven't seen far that has spread this morning, but I know last night it was up to like 8,000 in no time, really. Think off. Can't even pee on a tree. It's the benefit of rural living, right? That's the best part. Just if you have to go. Don't have to run to the house. You're mobile. If it's cold, you can have use. That's the heater's got to. You go through more fuel just because you don't have the insulating factor, right? You just have to learn to live a little more Spartan, which is good, right? There's advantages to that too. You don't need all that stuff. You got stuff in your closet you never pull out, right? It's like that twice a year thing. I go through my closet and I'm looking. I'm like, man, I haven't touched this in forever. You know, got shirts buried back there in the back corner of the closet you haven't worn in 3-4 years or whatever. Like, I gotta get a better rotation or get rid of something. And you go to thrift stores and they're just full of stuff. Like, people just getting rid of stuff just because they, you know, whatever. Such is the nature of our society in many ways. But RV living, the best thing I think about it would be the mobility. You just pick up and go if you want to go, you know. You don't have to worry about the other stuff, you know. Be out here on the road, see the country. That would be the one thing if I was definitely driving around seeing the country. But then I miss out on bikes. The whole preparedness side, you're really at risk when you get into that environment. Being strung out on the road without a lot of preps is my nightmare scenario. I guess you do what you got to do. That's where you rely on skills, right? When you don't have stuff, you need skills. That's why those billionaires buy so much stuff. They don't have any skills. Skill building is 10 times more important, really. The big green truck. I think this is the big town of Lovelock, if you've not been here. It's all of about a minute big, and the prison's right up here too. There's a prison on the other side of town. I think we were live here on the other side of Lovelock a couple of years ago. We did a live cruising through here. I did a recording, maybe. We've driven through here on a video, I know, before. Oh, you're building a house, bikes? Okay, I didn't know that. I know you did some of the grading and stuff and doing your land management. I didn't know you were building. Yeah, it's always good to have a home base, right? Home base is always a good thing to have. Saint says the new Hoovervilles will be folks living in vehicles like quartzite. Well, and Saint, no joke, there's more than just quartzite in California. I mean, quartzite's in Arizona, but there's places in California that look like that already, out on the streets. So, you got all the people that left the fires, obviously, but even other than that, like before that, you drive down certain highways in California, down like Fresno, Sacramento, Fullerton, or what's the other one? Stockton, like just RVs and people parked out, and then people parked next to tents and certain back roads that you can see from highways and stuff. Like, and that was a couple of years ago, the last time I drove through California like that, and it was bad. I can't even imagine what it's like now. California is a failed state that the U.S. is bailing out, I think. The way things, with a lot of things that I've seen or heard of. It's not going great like Mr. Newsom likes to say it is. You know? Yeah, the big town of Lovelock. So you can be a rancher, or you can work at the prison. It's about what you do out here. 294, okay. 289 for unleaded out here in Lovelock. That's a good deal. I haven't seen that ever. I haven't seen that in years. 289. So gas is definitely cheaper out here. And that was a Maverick, and I'll bet they truck it in from Utah instead of bringing it from California. Is why it's cheaper, I bet. Because Maverick's based out of Utah, they probably have that a better fuel contract. Man, I wish I had 289 gas at home. I was hoping that our gas spiked just because of the LA fire situation, but I don't know if that was it or not. We'll see if it gets down by end of February. If not, it's probably not going back down below 3. By the time end of March rolls around, it'll be back up. Getting ready for that spring fuel mix that they do, and California messes everything up. Yeah, the fuel concerns in Vegas. Yeah, right, bikes. Yeah, that was legit. That was when the first fires went down. The pipeline was shut off because of the power. So the power was shut off in the area of the pipeline, and they got it rerouted. Whatever the power people did, they got it back on after like a day and a half or something. But it was legit like a concern. Like Vegas only has a few days of fuel. If that pipeline's shut off, they're not getting anything. So I think they were talking about like where they could truck it in from or whatever. They probably got the logisticians out there working, you know. Outsider, welcome aboard. $5 gas. Yeah, that's cheap, isn't it? For the Bay Area. It's like you drive across the border to California, it's automatically $4. Like go up to Truckee or something, it's probably $4.50. Madness. Speaking on that pipeline deal, though, and I know it's been a few years since we highlighted this topic, but we talk about collapse and the collapse of society and infrastructure and everything. The key to remember, there are a lot of people that get paid a lot of money to keep all that stuff running, from the engineers to, you know, with pipelines and stuff, or electricity, the workers. Like, you look at how the line workers do after hurricanes and stuff. Like, people get paid a lot of money to keep infrastructure going. So really, are those people getting fed and taken care of to do that stuff? You know, like we talk about with nuclear power plants and really big events, like, are those people still working at the power plants, or are they leaving and letting things go, like for meltdown? Like, those people get paid a lot of money to do what they do. So really, when that starts to fall apart, talk about like a going Galt moment, like when the train engineer jumps off the back of the train and the Atlas shrugged. It's like when those people start jumping off the train and it's no longer worth it, that's when you really got to worry about the bigger collapse issues. But yeah, those people, infrastructure people, that's one of the key pieces to our whole system. And nowadays, it's not just that type of infrastructure, but the that IT tech guy who keeps all the security and everything. Like, he's a critical hinge piece, right? He's one Chinese spy away from crashing the whole grid or whatever. However it gets out that he weakens the system, whether he's a gambling addict or a Chinese, you know, he's a, what was that guy's name? Sewell with Fang Fang. Like, if he's one of those guys that gives away secrets and they hack into the IT infrastructure or something to crash it, like, we're one event like that away from really getting into a bad situation. And we just passed the prison there, I forgot to mention. So nobody's been there, right? OJ was there for a while. That's where OJ was at for a minute. There was some other guy in there, and I can't remember who it was. Custom Black did a video on the fuel thing bikes. I must have missed that. I saw his last hyped up truck videos when he caught back up on that. Oh no, wait, I saw him do a video on going to the gas pump to fill up. I didn't hear his wife say anything though. He was with his kid. Maybe I missed the other video with him and his wife. But I did see him going to the gas station to fill up day of. And I was like, this is the way. Like, because legit, there's just a day or so of gas in Vegas. Like, it can go quick, especially, I mean, this is not the busy season, so, well, I don't know, it kind of is the busy season because it's convention season, but most of the conventioneers don't use personal vehicles. I don't know, is Vegas ever not busy, I guess would be the question, because it's not convention season, it's tourist season, or sports season now. Like, there's always, it's just gotten out of control. I mean, just in my short time in Nevada, like, I think Vegas was like 1.5 million when I moved here, and now it's like Nevada overall is 3.2. Now Vegas is like 2.7. It's like almost doubled just in 20 years. It's insanity. Why would you move out there where there's no, like, move out here where it's nice and mountainous and beautiful. Stick yourself in the hot Mojave Desert with no water. People have lost their mind. Oh, Mountain Man has good news. There's a pawnbroker they've been doing business with. Okay. Oh wow, you're getting a new rifle, huh? Well, that's looks kind of special. 75th anniversary. That's cool. I mean, got to have a good rifle, right? Get those squirrels. Got to have a squirrel gun. Sounds like a pretty fancy squirrel gun though for 75th anniversary. Ruger's pretty tricked out. We have to show that off when you get it, Mountain Man. Make sure you take a gander at it. Is it like chrome plated or like shiny? I wouldn't imagine it's camouflaged. That's cool though. Stock up on all the critical elements, right? All the critical metals. Stock up on all of them. Yeah, the mountains just don't have enough snow out here right now. Our water situation is going to be pretty dire if this keeps up through the rest of February. January is supposed to be our big month to get the snowpack built up for water in the spring, and it is just not looking good at all. Sometimes we have what they call a miracle March, where the snow comes in March and just lays some big storms out to salvage the winter. But January is usually the big month for snowstorms to build up that snowpack, and you should be seeing like most of that mountain range should be white, not just the tops right now. You know, I mean the whole south facing slopes are bare. That's just not right this time of year. Tactical Tony in the house. What's up, Tony? What is that little emblem there? I couldn't see what you dropped there for an emoji. Is that a snail? Arkansas Tony, welcome aboard. Oh wait, what's that right above? What is the best state to buy or sell metals in? I have no idea. I mean, Nevada's not bad. Nevada doesn't have taxes on bullion, so that's cool. There's a whole list of states. Most of the online places have lists of the tax status in each state. So you got to go to SD Bullion and look at their tax information and list it by state and what gets taxed and what doesn't. So like in Nevada, numismatics get taxed. So if you buy a special cased coin that's a collector's item, it gets taxed. But any bullion doesn't. So there's that I know about Nevada. It's pretty good, pretty friendly. New Hampshire's good, I know that. But if you're buying lead and brass, that's a whole another question. Is that what maybe the metal you're talking about? I wouldn't want to buy lead and brass in California. Do they have special taxes on lead and brass in California? I think California taxes everything too much. But and then there comes Dad on YouTube. I thought you guys had to go back to work, Dad. Technically, I guess I am working, but I'm just driving to get to an event. But it doesn't feel like work so much when you're driving out here like this. Like, it's pretty relaxing to me. I almost had the thought to be an over-the-road truck driver, but it's like, yeah, that's a little too, just like the RV lifestyle, it's a little too on living on the edge. Not much preparedness you can put into living in the over-the-road truck driver lifestyle. And for a minute there, I mean, we'll see how I'm getting off track here. Good to see you, Dad. The H-1B visa thing, right? Tons of truckers are H-1B visa waivers. Tons of them. Like, why aren't more Americans doing trucking? Because it doesn't pay for what they do, right? So they get these H-1B guys in here who are doing, undercutting everybody on the market. And you see the stories and hear the stories, and like, they're not safe. They don't know how to drive. Not good. Hear a lot of those stories on the Twitter there about trucker situations. It's unsafe. H-1B visa types. Yeah, Mountain Man, I don't believe you're that. You might be a few years over that, Mountain Man. But you're in the Oklahoma, huh? Yeah. Dad says, I'm sure we're back in the office full time soon, but nothing has come down yet. Is that right? Shocking. I guess the bureaucracy doesn't work that quick, right? That's why you can always rely on the bureaucracy to do the wrong thing. Right, Tony? It doesn't pay enough to get into it nowadays. I mean, some of the guys, really put the grind in, and they make it work. And then as you're in it for a period of time, you can start demanding more. But yeah, it's definitely time consuming. And you just figure how many times you're away from home. It's not like you're getting deployment pay, right, Tony? I follow several truckers on the Twitter who really enjoy it in a lot of ways, but there are the downfalls of what goes on out there. The way things are undercut, just people not taking it seriously as they should with safety and doing the illicit substances and just not staying awake and stuff like that. AI is going to kind of, yeah, Tony, right? AI is going to be running the show here. Skynet will go live at some point, right? It does feel have that vibe to it. None of us will be driving anywhere. I saw a video of somebody getting in a self-driving car in Vegas, and I'm like, you've lost your mind. There's no way I don't like to drive in Vegas. I couldn't imagine riding and not having anybody in control of the vehicle driving in Vegas. Like, that would, my PTSD would act up in that situation. I couldn't imagine. Well, have a good birthday, Mountain Man, if we don't talk to you before then. It's coming up pretty soon. And the food doesn't help either, right, Mikes? Well, some of those truckers, they do it right though. They get the little grill in there, a plug-in grill of some sort, and they'll cook some decent chow. It's the snacking that gets you, It's the eating stuff while you're driving instead of just having designated meals that really gets to you. And all the whatever you drink with caffeine in it, if you don't stick to just black coffee, you're adding that in too. Got some folks doing a tire here, it looks like. Washington. The future is dystopia, says Tony. All right. Yeah, it's this weird mashup of Idiocracy, Fahrenheit, Atlas Shrugged, and pick your poison. It's like a combination of all the above in some level, in some way. There's a little bit of everything that we were warned about. The Saint says Stargate digital online ID and currency. Yeah, that whole idea of this thing about the Stargate now is like, what in the world is going on? The Prepared Homestead did a good video talking about how so many people that were against central CBDC and against crypto and against a lot of these things that are rolling out now, and just because Trump's saying it, they're all on board now. Like, people can't see the ball for kickoff. They're like, you guys missed the point of being opposed to that stuff. It wasn't being opposed to stuff because of who said it. It's being opposed to it because it's not right. It's going to be your downfall, like all the negatives. But Trump says, everybody's like, yeah, let's go. Musk is, him and Trump and Musk, they're going to lead us into the future. Let's go to Mars. Yeah, let's plant the flag on Mars. Like, people have lost your minds. Mountain Man says as soon as the weather warms up, he's going to be hitting the river. There you go. Catfishing on the river. Sounds like a good time. Stock up the freezer for winter. Bike says, aside from stacking and numismatics as a hobby, the wife are discussing investments into crypto. Seems to be forced into it anyway. Yeah, Bikes. I think that's where they got everybody. They got everybody like it's going to happen, so might as well get into it. The thing is, you don't know what they're going to pick and how they're going to revalue when they do pick, right? Or however they roll it out. And I talked about this a while back. If you look at how, like, everybody's in Bitcoin, right? But the inefficiency of Bitcoin and stuff doesn't make it an efficient currency, and with some of the fees and all the other stuff that goes with it. But that makes it just bad enough that the government might like it, right? Because there's other stuff that's way more efficient and quick and fast and everything else that you think they would want in their system, but never underestimate the ability of the government to do the wrong thing. So as far as how they choose it and roll it out is one thing. I've talked, I don't know if you've heard me and Dad talk about the not Hydra, H-bar, the Hedera and H-bar graph, and its use case, and its what it does, and how fast it is, and how cheap it is. Like, that's the Hedera and hash graph is the only thing I've looked at that's like more than just a currency. It has use cases otherwise. So maybe look at that, Bikes, if you're looking at Hedera, to consider that, because that's the only thing I see is like that has potential. Everything else is just you're sorting through these race cars. You're trying to pick a certain racehorse that you don't know who's going to get to the end. In my mind, but I don't like any of it anyway. And I was looking at Hedera, and I'm like, I'll wait until it gets back under 10 cents, and it hasn't went back under there since it went back. So I'm like, I missed the train. I'm okay with missing the train because it's just gambling in my mind. I don't see it as an investment. I see it totally as a gamble, and you're betting on a racehorse. So bet accordingly, in my mind. So that's just me, I know. But it's nothing. You don't get any return. There's the potential for zero return, and when there's the potential for zero return, you are basically gambling, so that's my viewpoint. Now Wayne rolls in here. What's up, Wayne? Good evening. I guess it's just midday here. I guess it's late afternoon there where you are, Wayne. Almost dinner time. How cold is it there in the volunteer state? You still in the teens now, or is it warmed up a little bit? Bikes believes once CBDC is out as the norm, all others will be hyped, viewed as counterfeit. Gov and the Fed hates companies. Just how they treat that other stuff, it'll just basically collapse the market for them anymore. Because really, what's your use case for any of those coins? I guess anonymity, if any of them have it. I don't know if any of them have anonymity. When you look at how blockchain works with Bitcoin, like, there is no anonymity. You think there, you might think that, but it doesn't. Like, if other than anonymity, I don't see the advantage once they roll out a CBDC, right? So that's just my thoughts on that. And Dad touting the H-bar there. Up to 26 today, Wayne. All right, that's a heat wave. A little bit. Maybe it'll warm up this weekend, right? Maybe it'll warm up a little bit, Wayne. They live. What's going on? And you are live. Yeah, caught alive. Well, we don't usually roll out for an hour, but since I'm driving, I've kicked it off and started off with my rant about just being prepared for the pain. If you want things to change the way you think you want them to change, it's going to take a lot of pain to get through. So that's what I kind of started with. And we've been all over the place here for the last 40 minutes or so since then. So don't feel like you're interrupted or nothing. Got a lot of the old crew on here. 43. We're Mountain Man. Me and you have about the same temperature, Mountain Man. About the same temperature here. The Rye Patch Reservoir is looking pretty full. Yeah, that's real full. I wonder what, that's kind of weird to see it that full this time of winter. I wonder if they're holding it back to anticipating the lack of snow melt, so they know they need to hold it back to, because farmers get a lot of that allocation out of the Rye Patch, a lot of the farmer ranchers, so they probably have to hold it back until they get some more storms in to make sure they have the snow melt, because right now they don't have any snow melt, really. They live preparing for the pain, right? Right, they live, right? Yeah, because if you want things to change, it's not going to be easy. That's for sure. It's going to be painful. We're highlighting the economic pain. I was discussing about if you want to deport all these illegals, which is justified, there's going to be economic pain that goes with that. But nobody's willing to deal with the price. And what we're going to end up is instead of eliminating minimum wage and changing child labor laws to really only worry about safety, not what age somebody works at. If you're not getting rid of things like that the government caused these problems to begin with, the government's just going to create another bad solution. And automation and all the stuff the AI stuff that Elon and them are offering for the economic vitality of the future is not what we want either. So that's what I see coming forward. You're going to get a lot of that hope and change in the form of AI and stuff that's going to really take away people's jobs and stuff, when you thought you were going to get more jobs and stuff because they're getting rid of the non-citizens and the people that are here illegally and all that other stuff. But it's not going to be like that. I don't think, at least. I don't see that coming up, because you got to change a lot of laws. You can't just make an executive order and expect things to work. They got to do the right things otherwise. And like how we kind of got talking about crypto, is I was talking about how a lot of places where these illegals work are really cash heavy. If you really want to get rid of cash focused business, what do? You take away their workforce and make them go after people who want to be in the system, and these businesses then have to transition to the system because they don't have any other workforce to go to. So it's another way they eliminate cash and get into the digital currency world. So that was the synopsis of some of the first 20 minutes or so of my rant, I guess you would say. Bikes is focused on good and positives in life. I pray that everyone succeeds. Yeah, I mean, that's always, stay positive, right? Think positive, man. Yeah, I guess I live in a negative world on YouTube more than I do in real life. I try to be positive, I think. But I try to be realistic. Like, as far as retirement, I don't realistically think retirement, it's not going to look like our parents. You know, we're not going to live the life the boomers did. The boomers rode the wave of inflationary currency. We're not going to have that same wave. We just don't. So I think it's just going to be so much different. And retirement was sold as this dream when it wasn't reality, I think. So that's one thing. It's like, I don't consider that a negative. I just think consider it's realistic to not retire in the same way. I mean, I may not work as hard. I may not work the same. You know, I'm not going to be, you know, like, I mean, a lot of the boomer generation, our parents and stuff, you know, they did some hard labor work. So they really needed to retire because they were physically worn out. Whereas we can find other things that are less physically impactful, you know, to ride out the older years, to still, you know, earn some income. So there's that, I think. And like what Mountain Man does with his side gigs and stuff, the real concern is that they're going to eliminate that because of the whole CBDC, right? The whole purpose of CBDC is control the economy, so there are no side gigs, there is no cash. So we're going to be in the black market potentially. So I guess we need to prepare for that. You know, it's just a preparation thing. I don't know if I consider it a negative, you know, that this is the way it's going to be. We got to be ready for it. It's not bright and shiny future though in my mind, but we just got to do our best. do what works for you. We're not all going to be in McMansions, living the good life. And I don't think anybody in this chat wants to be in a McMansion living the good life anyway. Pretty much everybody shows that they don't live like that for the most part, especially back there in the backwoods of Arkansas. They live as a bit of crypto, knowing that blockchain is a control system, right? Yeah, and like we say, they live, if you can profit off of it and put it into something valuable, that's more power to you, Just don't think it's going to save you in the end, is the way I try to emphasize it. And I think most people, I don't know, some people just have that mindset that like Bitcoin is the future of everything. And it's like, I don't get that mindset. It doesn't show itself to be that in any way that I've seen. Mike says it's way better. Realistic is way better than the cult of personality, right? Or the whole portrayal of left versus right. Like that's not reality. They try to keep presenting that as reality, and it's so much of that is just keeping people divided so they can't focus on the problem. They live since the black market is a reality to plan for, right? And I know I've said this for a long time. The black market is the free market. Like what somebody's willing to pay for an item in reality and what they're willing to pay with that's the free market. If you're really a free market person, like that black market is the free market. Free of regulation and buyer beware type thing. You can't go through life thinking the government's going to protect you from everything, because then you're not going to be protected from anything. Mountain Man was talking to a very sad fellow a few months ago. They had 1,000 Bitcoins when they were worth pennies, and he was giving them away back then. Oh wow, he gave them all away, Mountain Man. That's crazy. That was a long time ago. Well, 15 years ago. That's the thing about it. Bitcoin's not that old, but there was a story that I shared with. I think I shared it with Dad, and I shared it with 420 Homestead. If you remember him, he's on the Twitter. I don't think he does much on YouTube anymore. But this guy in England had a hard drive that had all his Bitcoin coded information. However you store Bitcoin on a hard drive, it was all on there, right? And it got dumped in a landfill at some point because he switched. He didn't know which hard drive he was getting. He got rid of the wrong hard drive, so he kept the wrong one. And by the time he realized his mistake, he just kind of assumed it was in this landfill, and he's trying to petition to get the right to go into the landfill and search for it, and the government won't give him the permission to do it. And it's like, oh my goodness. And they said he had like billions of dollars of current valuation, because when he lost the hard drive was like 10 years ago. So when he originally got the Bitcoin, who knows, it was only a few thousands of dollars maybe, and now it's billions basically. The number of, the value of the number, because of the number of Bitcoins he had stored up. It's like, oh man, talk about a big time mistake, right? Like you really fumbled the ball on that one. They live is hoping to flip the metals and prepare for the rug pull. Oh, flip for metals but prepare for the, okay. Use your crypto for metals. That's what West Texas was talking about earlier. West Texas was talking about flipping crypto for metal. There's people that do that. I think 420 did a little bit of that. And really the ultimate is if you can get a good piece of property to produce, crops or something. That's the ultimate crypto flip, I think. Metals are just another form of exchange. They're just an easily stored form of exchange. The metals aren't the end-all be-all by any means. They're there to get you the things that you need otherwise. And, property, high-value property is the ultimate, I think. It's a big club and you ain't in it. And bikes with its human practical application. Human practical application of living does not care about opinions, right? It's either true or it's not. There's only truth. All right, Wayne, thanks for checking in. No worries. You know how it is on the YouTube. You're not expected to be here, but when you show up, it's a great thing. No expectation. It is good to see everybody on here, though. It's been a while. Maybe I have to do this more often. Yeah, who can afford a book? Not right now, right, Mountain Man? A few dollars for coffee. They Live says the Bitcoin guy cries himself to sleep. Yeah, that's a sad situation, knowing he could have, like, you literally were a billionaire. I mean, technically, I guess you still are a billionaire in theory. In human practical application, though, you're not a billionaire. In reality, that's sad. Yeah, what could have been, right? Oh, in so many cases too. Like, I mean, back in the '90s, I had some guys that were looking into getting certain land plots and buying land, and that's kind of how their investment strategy was working. And so they were getting empty lots in certain places, for thousands of dollars. So these, NCOs in the Marine Corps, right? So they weren't making a lot of money, but they were putting whatever, few thousand they could put together to get open lots. I would imagine they did pretty good. And I don't even know if they held after '07 or if they sold before '07, but they probably did all right. Even if they're holding today, they got some property, and if you're able to lease or rent, whatever, like, it's always a good plan. They ain't making no more of it. So I'll put this notice out. There's 600 acres for sale out here in Elko County. If anybody wants to pitch in, DM me, hit me up, hit my email up, or hit me up on Twitter. We'll go in and buy some property in Elko. It's like, we'll split up 300 each way. We'll never see each other. There's opportunity out there. Just a matter of putting all the pieces together and putting it to work. Yeah, Saint didn't have New Orleans on his bingo card to get snow. Yeah, that, I think, surprised everybody. The snowfall on the Gulf Coast is quite shocking. Like I was saying, I think you may have missed it, Saint. We talk about disasters and preparing for the next worst thing. Like, don't rely on history to show you what the worst case scenario is. Use history to say it could get worse than that. Like, because we had the example in Helene, we got the LA fires, we got the snowfall on the Gulf Coast, like, all of them exponential levels worse than what was recorded and we know of in history for those areas, right? So when you're going to prepare for what's worst case in your area, like, it could always get worse than what you think it could get. So maybe prepare accordingly and just a little bit extra depending on what you're concerned about, Oh, that's right. You're out in Fallon. That's right. Yeah, we're up here on the 80, so you might recognize cruising through the area. I forget where everybody's located sometimes. Yeah, we need to have something. I was talking about that. I mean, there's no snow on these mountains out here. The right patch is full, and I'm assuming that's because they're storing it up because they don't know how much snow melt they're going to have because there's no snow to melt right now. So everybody's probably a little concerned on the water situation that relies on the snowfall. Yeah, everything's dry out here for sure. I think our only advantage compared to LA is we don't have the dense, some of the undershrub growth because they're so close to the ocean. They get that shrubbery, more so than what we get out here. The Saint says it all sucks now, but any suggestions on a good state to move? I guess it depends on what you're looking for, Saint. Bikes is out there in Arkansas. Him and Tony are living it up. Arkansas Tony and them. So Arkansas is a popular place. Wayne out in Tennessee, the East Tennessee area, obviously had the Helene effects, but there's probably still good properties out there that you can get to. Those are always recommended on the prepping side, You want to look for the tax advantages, of course. I guess it depends on where you're at in life, how much you just finding a place to kick back, or how much do you need a place to kind of work and base out of because you're younger, You're guess it kind of depends. The Saints is thinking about Ohio. Okay. What's the tax situation in Ohio? I mean, it's got an income tax. I kind of check it off the box. If it doesn't have, if it has income tax, I kind of disregard it personally. But Tony says he hates that people are finding out about it, finding out about Arkansas. It's a cycle. It's just like all the Yankees going to Florida in the 60s, I guess. Started that wave up through the 80s. Then Florida's full. Maybe at some point we'll be able to revert and take back over California once it gets empty enough. Well, I think I'm getting close to my destination here. How far out? Got a little ways to go to Winnemucca. See where I'm at here. Yeah, we passed Imlay, so I think we passed Imlay. Mike says he's surprised at the water saturation, but you rarely see flooding. The mountains kind of help, at least in getting the drainage issue. Yeah, I mean, and that's what was weird about Helene, right? Bikes is like you just don't have rain flood like that to worry about. Unless you're next to a river, you never really thought about flooding, you know? Growing up, like the river was always down the hill. We were way above the river. And where I grew up didn't get affected by the river. But there were just so many mudslides and stuff. Was a lot of it that caught them off guard there. But the rivers got a lot higher than they ever had either. So, and the creeks and every little stream that anywhere where water ran, you know, little springs and stuff, just blew up, just exponentially more than they had ever ran before. That just caused all that runoff, just all these little hollers and stuff, just overwhelmed with water. And I have a theory, and I don't know if anybody's looked into it, but when you look at all the mudslides that happened back there in the mountains during Helene, I have a theory that was underwater springs filling up beyond capacity and basically exploding and sliding. That's a loose theory that I have. Generally, those places are pockets of water underneath, and they filled up so fast, and they couldn't discharge the water how they normally do through seepage out to a spring, that they basically exploded out of the mountains. Because you see these videos of where literally like the mud is exploding down the mountain. And I think that's just underground springs filling up and exploding and giving way like an avalanche, but it's a mud avalanche. That's what I think that was, but I don't think I've ever heard anybody explain it that way. They just kind of think it's like, well, the ground's just wet and it slid, you know. And I don't think that's what it was, because you hear in the videos it's the boom sound, pow, pow, pow. You know, it sounds more like an explosion than it does a slide. Tony only makes videos complaining how horrible it is here. Emphasis on the bugs and snakes. There you go, Tony. That'll keep people away. That's kind of like Nevada. It's so dry and hot and miserable. Like, why would anybody want to live here? I don't get why people would want to come to Nevada, especially in California. Just stay in California, or just go to Texas. We'll send everybody to Texas. Yeah, it's always. The influx of Californians is pretty drastic even now here in Nevada. I'm hoping, you know, knock on wood, that maybe some of the election results weren't an aberration, and that actually some of the good Californians are moving here and having some effect on the electorate. But it seems like a fool's hope, but we'll ride that out. A little bit of positivity, like Mike says. Think positive about the whole thing. says his doesn't matter. Oh, Mount Manuel Old Lake was Sugarloaf Lake in the hills of Arkansas. Okay, Sugarloaf Lake, Arkansas. Okay, looked like a pretty nice place. And Bike says mindset is everything. A resilient mindset is everything, right? Got to keep positive. The things, but realistic in the things that you can affect, and be realistic in your own capabilities. Don't overestimate your capabilities. That's a mountain rule, Bikes. That was in one of the mountain training. One of the key things about planning your route and planning movements and stuff in the mountains. Never ever overestimate your abilities, because you get yourself in trouble. There was a whole list of them. I can't now. I wish I could remember all those. I think there were like 8 of them, 8 rules of. And that was one of them. Never overestimate your abilities. Ask the locals. Ask the locals was one of them. I still remember a few of them, but I think I might. Hopefully, I practice them more than I remember them. What are the well depths in Elko says they live? I have no idea. And it really depends on where you're at in the county, I think, too, because if you're close to the Humboldt, it's going to be lower than if you're up on some of those high plateaus. I've heard of some pretty deep ones. I've heard stories of some pretty deep well locations and anywhere in Nevada, like 300-foot depths, depending on where you're at, up on some plateaus and stuff. But I've heard of some places like 100 feet, you got good water depth, especially when you're down closer to valley floors and stuff. So it just depends on where you drop it at, I guess, and how much people you have in the area that are also drawn out of the same well, out of the same aquifer, whatever water table you're drawing out of. How many neighbors do you have doing the same thing? Your well is 25 feet they live? That's crazy. That's really shallow, huh? But Fallon's that big open plain right there where the Carson River comes through, right? So I guess that kind of makes sense. I want to say my well, I think it's static at 80 feet, and I think it's 125 feet deep, but it's static waters at 80, something like that. I think when we got it tested and everything, somewhere in there, once it goes static, at 80 feet deep. I think that's where it was at. I think that seemed pretty good depth. What's up, Rooster? Yeah, Rooster, I'm going east though. I'm not going west. I'm not coming your way. Tony, yours is 300 feet, huh? That's crazy. That's crazy deep. You must be on the top of the mountain. Not a spring in sight, huh? All right, folks. Looks like we've arrived at our destination, the big town of Winnemucca. Yeah, Rooster, we kind of talked about that at the beginning, the whole deportation scheme. About, knowing that the work needs to be put in, but also the third order effects if certain things aren't done on the back end too. You can't just do that and expect things to get better. It takes a lot of other things, and it's going to be a lot of work by the rest of us. We're all going to suffer a little bit of pain as a result of it. Just be prepared for that. Don't let everybody complain when the prices and everything go up. You got to have some endurance to get through it, to right the ship, and that goes with a lot of things that are going on. And I'm not sure if people have the endurance and the pain tolerance to deal with the issues enough to turn the ship around. So, all right, we're here in Winnemucca, folks. I'm going to check out here. We're going to go get some work done. Thanks everybody for checking in, commenting, keeping me awake, keeping me honest, doing all the things. So we'll see you out there on the YouTube. What is today? Thursday. I'm sure we'll see you guys around. And prep hard, pray hard, and live free. See you next time, YouTube. Let's see if we can turn this thing off.